simplest way to make yellow mole is the way that they do it in the villages that surround Oaxaca City. And they start with 1 or 2 chilies. It always has guajillo chili, which is this smooth-skinned kind of cranberry red chili. Some people like to put a little bit of ancho chili in there as well. So I'm going to clean these chilies first by pulling out the stem end, tearing them open and letting the seeds fall. I want to make sure to pull out all these veins in here so that it doesn't turn out too hot. These chilies smell so good. I always describe them a little bit like spicy prunes. Next, we're going to toast these guys. And we're going to do that on an ungreased surface. It could be a skillet, or I'm using a griddle here. I'm going to press them down until they're really aromatic. And you'll notice that they change colors a little bit. It's a gentle toasting, certainly not blackening or burning in any way. That would make the mole turn out bitter. You'll notice how the color of the ancho chili is lightened up a little bit. That indicates that it's lightly toasted. It's really delicious smelling in here. And I'm going to take the toasted chilies now over to the blender. And I'm going to put those in there, along with about a cup of water. A little piece of fresh ground corn masa, the same dough that's used to make corn tortillas with. If you don't have the fresh ground stuff, you could reconstitute some of the masa harina, the powdered stuff you can buy in the grocery store. And what makes yellow mole is a generous use of hoja santa leaves. They're not the easiest things for those of us cooking in the US to find. So if you want to make a recipe like this with the herbal qualities and you can't find hoja santa, I suggest a big handful of cilantro leaves. These I'm going to tear up and put into the blender jar with the chilies and the masa. Put the top on it and blend it smooth. Because those chilies aren't soaked, take a minute or two to blend this to the point that it's as smooth as you can get it. But in case I have some of those chili skins that have not been blended completely, I'm going to pour the mixture through a strainer and then let it go into chicken broth that I've heated over medium heat here. Now remember that corn masa that I blended in with the chilies is going to be the thickener for this. It'll thicken just like making a gravy. So I want to cook this and stir it all the time as it begins to thicken up. When the mole thickens, reduce the heat to about medium-low. Let it simmer for about 15 minutes. You'll need to stir it every once in a while, and then season it with salt. I'm all set up here to make the classic empanadas of yellow mole that you find everywhere in Oaxaca. They look like little turnovers. I've got the yellow mole finished here. I've let it cool off in the pot, and it should be thick enough. Well, it should look like a thick gravy. It should hold its shape sort of slightly in a spoon. I've got some cooked chicken that's been pulled apart into small shreds. Those delicious hoja santa leaves, and then I've got fresh ground corn masa. Now, some of you may understand the word empanada to refer to a turnover with a wheat flour dough. In Oaxaca, these are made with the fresh ground corn masa instead. And I've brought this masa from a tortilla factory that's near my house. It usually comes to me a little stiffer than what I need it to be to make these empanadas, because I want it to be like soft cookie dough almost. So I'm going to dribble in just a little bit of water, just a little, because a little goes a long way when you're kneading water into masa. Use my hands here to work it in. You really can't overwork this dough. And then give it a generous sprinkling of salt and knead it into the masa. A dough that is sort of soft like this but doesn't stick to your fingers will mean a finished empanada of yellow mole that's very tender. So I need about a little bigger than golf ball size piece. And I have a classic tortilla press here. Now in Oaxaca they make these large because they work with really huge tortilla presses. So I'm going to make this as large as I can using this standard size tortilla press. Put the ball of masa in there. Cover it with a second piece of plastic. There's one underneath there. This was just cut from a vegetable bag that I got in the grocery store. And then give a gentle press. I'm going to open it up and flip it around because these tortilla presses never press completely evenly. Give it another gentle press. Take off the top piece of plastic there. And then I'm going to put it onto the griddle, which I have heated to about medium-high heat. The front of it is a little cooler, so that's where I'm going to put this tortilla down. So with the tortilla in my left hand with the plastic, I'm going to unmold the tortilla onto my right hand, lining it up with the fingers of my right hand. Peel that plastic off and then lay it down like that on the griddle. After about 30 seconds, the tortilla will release itself from the griddle. Then dip your fingers into some water and run them around the exterior of that tortilla to moisten it slightly. A little off-center, lay a few shreds of chicken. Top with a little mole. It doesn't take as much as you might think. And a few pieces of hoja santa leaf. Then fold it over and press it gently on the edges to sort of roughly seal it. Griddle bake these, well, probably longer than you would expect. They're going to take 8 to 10 minutes, and it'll get a kind of crunchy, crispy texture on the outside, beautiful and rustic. You'll need to flip them about every minute or so.